Hey, sorry for that little cut off. So, as I was saying, the Highway Show is a 45-minute discussion on Instagram dedicated at gaining insight and perspective into the lives of people who has gone ahead in their area of life. A wise man once said, "The greatest asset you can get from successful people is their story." So, we capitalize on the power of insights to bring out lessons and value that this present situation generation can use as stepping stones and ladders in building a responsible future for themselves in whatever niche they've decided to go. So there's a live in this is a live interview you don't want to miss. We'll be getting access to raw information and pattern people took to to get to where they are. You see people, you found them, and you're like, oh, I want to be like these people. Then we'll bring people like that from development speed to music to career to entertainment industry, and we look at okay how the we get insight to their particular story and how they were able to make it from the rough bottom. Okay, we have Miss Rosemond join us. Miss Rosemond, we see you. Thank you. So today we are super excited and grateful to have Rosemond EDEM today, and we'll be looking so much. So before she comes up, she's already online, so before she comes up, I'll be reading her profile. So, Rosemond Edem has over 5 years' experience in the social development sector. She holds a bachelor degree in accounting from Salem University. She's a chartered accountant with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN. She is currently the communications and development analyst at Elime Media Limited, where she leads the design, content development, and directions of projects, facilitation of strategic communication workshops for young media professionals, and contributing to communications for development. She was selected as a young innovator amongst 100 other change makers co-creating the future of work. She served as one of the mentors on Nigerian Women Trust Fund project on ending violence against women and girls, a one champion 2018-2019 with the organization in Nigeria. She is passionate about youth and capacity development and volunteering on community development projects. Through her work, some of her achievements include YIP Africa Top 100 Shooting Stars 2018 in Advocacy and Youth Development, Young Innovator co-creating the future of work at International Connectors 2019, one champion certificate of appreciation for commitment in the fight against extreme poverty in Nigeria 2018, and award in recognition of contributions to the achievement of sustainable development goals in Cross River State 2019. So we are super excited to have Miss Rosemond join us today. So I'll be sending a request to you soon, ma, to join us. Okay, so we have Miss Rosemond join us soon. Hey, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? And how is your side over there?
I'm fine. We're all good here.
Yeah, we are super excited. The whole team appreciates the fact that you accepted our invitation and being our first guest in the first edition of the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so now we would actually love to know you. We want to get to know your story. I was going through your profile, after someone told us the team about you, and I was like, wow, this is very nice, this is good, and we actually really love to understand at least this little achievement she has been able to carve for herself with this little period of time. We would love to know. So we will dive right into it right now, so we don't take too much of your time. So Ma, how was growing up for you, and how were you motivated to be who you are today?
Okay, so growing up for me was a mixture of very good, very rough, and also a good time to learn from mistakes and all of that. So for me, I would always say my growing up was just based on people that were around me, the support system that I had, um, people that were supportive of what I was doing, and those that were not supportive. So they summed up my, um, would I call it my childhood or me growing up to this point? Because I'm still growing old. So yeah. Then I think one of it is basically the community of people I had around me, people that were supportive, people that helped me, directed my path, and showed me all the things I needed to know, how I needed to go about it. When I was, straying, they were there to redirect me and all of that. So I think growing up for me was a learning process, and it's still a learning process because I'm growing still. And the most important person that played a key role in my growth process was my parents. When um, I was really doing terribly in my schooling and everything, and I felt that I was a failure. They made me understand that failing is just the mindset, and they made me embrace my failures. And once I did that, I began to see that there's possibility. If there's a possibility to fail, that means there's a possibility to actually be successful. And so I was excited that I had that support system that made me very comfortable to see that, okay, if you are failing in this area, then that means you can succeed. And that was what encouraged me to keep going, to keep seeing how I can, um, learn from my mistakes and how I can be better. So yeah.
Okay, so you talked about embracing your failure at a very tender
Yeah,
age, and the community gave you a very good support system to understand that your failure is
definitely.
not your end. Now, okay, now dealing with failure at a very young age, what did you see yourself doing? Now you're an accountant. Now, do you see yourself becoming an accountant at a very young age, or it was just like, okay, we don't know what we are doing, we are failing. Let's just at least I just want to get my head up here, feeling.
Oh, no, 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 no. I didn't see myself as an accountant. Truthfully, growing up, I saw something online recently, and people were like, when I was growing up, I said I wanted to be a doctor. And truthfully, when I was growing, I said I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be I moved. I said, okay, I want to be, what did I say again? I think a banker. Then I went on, I said, I want to be an economist. Actually, I was just looking for different things that I could fit into. Now, why I couldn't even go into science was because I was doing terribly. Truthfully, I
Okay.
wasn't good with chemistry. I wasn't good with biology. I wasn't good with all the science subjects. Talk less of mathematics. I was doing badly with mathematics too. And you can imagine I'm an accountant now. So
Wow.
when people hear me and they're like, how did you do it? I'm like, it's the people I had around me and determination. I knew that if all these messages I hear from people, that they did this, their childhood wasn't that great, but they are now really successful. I wanted to be part of that story. That in as much as the failures and everything that are mistakes I've had in growing up, I want to be, successful too. So I think for me, what I said I wanted to be while growing up, I've gone into different areas. Fine, I studied accounting. I'm now a chartered accountant. I've been in development since development space since 2014. And I think I've only actually done a part of accounting in doing internships, from school and all of that. I haven't really, so you can imagine I haven't been in the space in which I'm now professionally. So I'm now in development and communication. So definitely.
Okay. Yeah. You actually get back to development space, which is actually a place where actually I have a lot of expanse of questions and all. But before we
Okay.
rush into the development space, let's still talk about something personal and personal story growing up. Now you talked about failures and dealing with it. Can you share with us a personal story that actually gonna go in depth, like your greatest failure at a very young age and something that you had, you were so down that you just really, and who helped you pass through that stage?
Okay. I think we're even going back. Anyway, let me just go back. So right from primary school, I I had phobia for mathematics, for most of the courses that basically most of us we do because of our education system. Now I have to blame it on something, but basically, basically because of not putting much effort into what I was doing, I found it difficult to understand the basic things, even you know um in understanding. I found it difficult to understand the basic things first. Then, it's rubbed off on my academics. I wasn't really doing well. My parents knew that this was a problem. They actually saw it because every single time I'll come out from primary school, I wasn't I wasn't even topping anything. I was always taking last. And I saw this and I knew it was a problem. No, I'm really truthful right now. Like, I knew it was a problem because I was like, wait, is it only me that will be carrying the whole class every time? Like, is there no other person?
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, that was how I felt really terrible that I wasn't excelling. I now went into my secondary education, and the same thing was happening over and over and over again. And one day, I think I reached out to someone that is very close to me, and I told him that I really don't understand what's happening. Like, I'm not I'm not even going as far as success, talk less of being successful in anything that I'm trying to do. And there's so much distraction and I'm not understanding certain things that I'm being taught. And he said, okay, fine, I'm going to take you through this. At the time I was, finding it difficult to understand mathematics, finding it difficult to construct sentences properly. I didn't know the difference between past tense and present, and I was in secondary school. Do you get? So all of these things affected me, and it affected my self-esteem. It affected my self-esteem because I was like, my friends were making fun of me, or people in school were making fun of me that I really didn't understand certain things, and this person now stepped in and helped me, and and for something that I wasn't really good at, I found myself was, picking up interest. And, that was a gradually, he was like, for you to get to where you want to go to, it requires dedication and commitment. Sometimes we actually know these things. We have an in-depth knowledge of these things, but it's because of fear and also not putting the time and effort, to understand certain things, we end up failing. So failure is just a mindset, and that was where I got it. I was like, okay, so it is a mindset. If I tell myself now that I can succeed, so that means I will succeed. And he was like, yeah, yes, definitely. And not just telling yourself. If you sit down and actually see reasons,
Yeah.
okay, I justify these are the areas that I'm not good at, these are the areas I'm good at, how can I match both of them, how can I develop the other area that I'm not good at? And I think those were the questions I sat down to tell myself. Then having the huge support system, people around me that were constantly telling me I could do this and I can make it.
Oh, that's nice. Failure is just a mindset. You tell yourself you can do it, you can actually do it. You just have to sit down, and just like, okay, why? Be truthful to yourself. Why? Okay, this is the place where I'm lacking, and this is what I can do. Look for a nice support system, get people around you, and you pull through. That's nice. Okay, so now let's go into the development space. When did this start? What interested you, and when do you dive into the development space?
Okay, so I first started off in this the development space in 2014. That was when I started volunteering. So I was interning with, since I studied accounting, I was interning with an audit firm in Cross River, and I had a colleague that just came in one day from I don't know where he went to. He just came into the office and was like, Rosemond, what what do you think about volunteering? There's this non-profits that they're doing a program, a conference, and they want people, young people, to come and volunteer. And I'm like, me care, volunteer? Are they going to pay me? That was the question I asked him. And he was like, hey, Rosemond, they're not going to pay. I didn't even understand what volunteering was all about. I never heard it before. That was the first time I heard about it. You can imagine. So there are lots of young people that are very laid back on, certain innovations and everything. So I was like, I don't know anything about volunteering. If you're not going to pay me, Biko, I'm not interested. And that was what I told him. But I ended up following him that day to one of the meetings. And when I got there, I saw young people. And I'm like, wait. So young people can actually come out for something that they're not going to be paid for. They left their house, they paid transport, and they came to work on a project. I've never seen this before. And that was what tripped me. I was like, wow. We started off volunteering. We're working on different parts of the project, from program planning to, going out to mobilize people, to invite people, to sell. At the time, we're selling tickets for the conference. And, all of that step, I was like, okay, this is something really interesting. My parents at the time were like, I don't know why you're doing something that is not going to pay you. So for me, yeah. So I was really interested in it. For me, it wasn't just about the interest, it was what I saw that made me interested. I saw passionate young people. And that was one of the key things that made me see, okay, that young people can, put their mind to do something and they can do it. From there, 2014, I volunteered for the event. 2015, I went back again, volunteered for that same event. I was just around that organization. Then 2016, I just finished school in 2016, university in 2016. And when I came back, I volunteered for the program again. And I was like, this is something I can, learn from. And throughout the 2014, 2015, and 2016, I was, getting hands-on experience because back in school, my 200 level already had my CV. And guess what was on my CV? It was all the experiences I got from the volunteering and from my internship. So it wasn't just about me. I wasn't bothered coming out of um, school and looking for a job or something, not because I felt I had connections, but because I felt I had gathered enough experience from the places I was volunteering for free. So all through that time. So in 2016, once I was done with school and everything, I was just with a friend and another person came and the what happened? The man asked me, he was executive secretary for an international organization. He was asking, we're just having a conversation. He was asking me, so what is your volunteering like? And I'm like, wow. I've been volunteering since 2014, and I told him the story and how passionate I was about working with non-profit organizations and all of that. At the time, that was it. That was my narrative, and my narrative wasn't faked or it was actually true. And he was impressed, and he was like, "Wow, okay, so we want you to work on this for a couple of months." And that was how I got the opportunity, my first ever opportunity to work with an international organization. And I went to Ethiopia and worked with them for a period of time. And now this wasn't the issue. The opportunities weren't it. From the onset, it was about the service. It was about what I was gaining, the experience I was gaining that, would better prepare me. So I was already being, at the time, if I had said no to that opportunity in 2014 to volunteer, I wouldn't have had the experience, you know, so that when I'm being, being tabled with an opportunity, I
Become
can say these are the experiences I've had. And so yeah, that continued over and over and over again. And that's why I say volunteering has helped me, has helped carve a path for me and I'm grateful. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's how it all
So
started.
volunteering should be about service first. Service
Yeah,
first,
exactly.
service. Yeah, yeah. There was one of your interviews where you talked about volunteering as a means of growth. Now, so you actually a one champion. You were one
Yeah.
champion, and in development space, being a one champion is actually a big deal. And so, how did the story of one champion enter into your volunteering and development space?
Okay, so in 2018, the in 2018 the organization I had been volunteering with since 2014, the organization I started volunteering with, there was a call for application and I applied for a grant and proposal intern. And after applying, I got selected for one reason, and they will always tell me because you had put in the work since 2014. So when during the interview, I was like, I've been volunteering with this organization since 2014, and they were like, because you've been here, and that was how I got the opportunity to intern with them. And it was through that opportunity that I got to intern with them that. Along the way, there was the One Champions program came up. I think that was in April or so, April or March. March. It came out in March, and the programs coordinator at the time was like, Rosemary, you should apply for this opportunity. I'm like, I don't even have any experience. The only experience I have is volunteering. At the time, my initiative had just started in January, and we were just doing little programs here and there, but nothing really serious. But we knew what we wanted to do. So at the time it was just that support he gave me. He was like, no, you should actually apply for this. And I was like, okay, fine. I applied. And in my mind, yet again, opportunities were not the in thing for me. Well, that wasn't the drive. But the problem we face as young people when we get disappointed, when we get rejections from opportunities that we apply for, is because we've put our mind there that the work I'm doing is for opportunities. Do you get? So for me, I did not have anything in my mind to say that, oh, all the things I'm doing is just to get opportunities. No, I was doing it because, for one, I wanted to serve. So in April, after applying, I got an email. I got an email that I was selected, and I was looking at my laptop like this. Me, I was selected. I don't understand. Up to today, I don't know what I wrote in my application, but I sent it. I sent in one. So I was selected, and the next moment, I was getting a call for an interview, and I went through the interview, and yet again, I think one of the issues we have is that once you don't have the experience about, once you don't try to get experience with things, you won't be able to leave it, because you would be trying to make up some things, like you say, oh, I've done this, I've done that, meanwhile you haven't done it. So it's volunteering allows you to be very, very open and very vulnerable to say, this is it, this is me, this is what I've been doing, and this is where I am currently, being very vulnerable. And so that was how it all started. In 2018, got selected, we went for induction, and the journey just sort of started from there. One has actually given me that platform, to learn so much. I don't know if you want me to talk more about one, but yeah, that's just it.
Okay, share a personal story. Share a personal story. We would actually love to hear that.
Okay, about the one program.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the one program is actually a good opportunity, especially if you are in the development space and you want to learn, and you're going into advocacy, you're going into community development. So for us, we started off as in community development for Foundational Network Africa, and we started with human capacity development and all of that. So one was that platform that we needed, but at the time, it wasn't something I had thought of. But going on as the one champion, I was learning so many things. I didn't actually know that I could use social media for advocacy. I did, yeah, at 2018. That was 2018, April or May, that we got, inducted. I did not know that I could use social media for advocacy. That was where I saw case studies, on different advocacy that took place online, and got the traction that was needed. So I learned even offline advocacy, community development, grassroots mobilization. There were so many things packed in that program that I never thought I would be exposed to, but that platform exposed me to it. Moving forward, in 2019, I reapplied again for the Champions program, and I was reselected. So
Wow.
that, yeah, I was reselected. But before I even went on to reapply, we had last year January, we had a campaign, Vote Your Future campaign, and that gave every champion. Now, champions were like 50 of us in Nigeria, selected from 36 plus FCT states. What our goal is to be advocates, to be activists, to be the voice to those that don't have, the voice. So for me, from the angle of quality education, I'm advocating for quality education, even for the most marginalized. So in 2019, we had the Vote Your Future campaign, and we had conferences regionally. And so I held the conference for South South. That was the University of Calabar, Cross River State. And so that gave me an opportunity to learn so many things in that period of time. I never knew that, I didn't know the role of grassroots mobilization, and I saw it vividly. I was going into communities, I was going into streets, we're all going, because I had to get a lot of volunteers to get on that project. And we were talking to people about, their voting rights, and, the need for them to stand up, and the need for them to, speak up about certain things that they were not okay with. And so now again, that is one giving you a platform. So that platform actually pushed me to learn so many things, and that is still helping me up till today, and helping me in
So,
the work that we're doing at Foundational Network Africa.
oh, nice, nice one. So, volunteering for you has been much about the service, which has actually over time provided the opportunities and platform that has actually helps you push you in your career, and part of what we are seeing today. So guys, if you're out there, it should be about the service first when you want to go enter into volunteering. The passions of others actually help instill and pull your passion, and over the time you just discover that the opportunities will start dropping in one way or the other, and you just leverage on them. Yeah, so now as a young woman, on the way rising up to your career, you have down moments and also, what has been your greatest down moment in this whole development? As actually start has it been all rosy and like, oh, from one opportunity to another opportunity? And so what are your down moments, or let me just say, to save your time, what was your greatest down moment and how do you pull through?
Hey, my greatest down moment, I think, is when you're doing your job and it feels like you're not doing anything. People constantly have the feeling that those that are in development are there for the glam, they are there for the spotlight to get attention and everything. And so you constantly hear people talk about it, that this one here is not because of this, that. So sometimes you feel really down that really your work is not appreciated in the real sense. So for example, last year we had a project in Oyo State, and all the work and effort that my team and I have put, because we was in partnership with Whole Life Initiative, and all the work and effort that my team had put in that project. The day we were supposed to launch, we came to the school. We were there. It was a renovation project for their library. So we went there, and the principal was still talking like she wasn't really appreciative of what we had done. And I felt really sad, because at that time I now realized that resources had been allocated to that school to get the library revamped. There was a location, because when we went there, we saw piles of sand and items that they were supposed to use to get the library to be a befitting environment for students to come and read, but they were not using it for that. So you can imagine that happening. And we got there, and after doing everything, we did all the school was supposed to do with the resources that the government had released to them to do. And the teacher and the principal was like, is this the only thing that you people could, something like that? And we felt really sad because of the effort we had put on that project. And we get constant reactions like that when we do things, and people feel that we have all the money. Oh, is this person's father or this person's mother that is doing this or that? People fail to understand that it's our individual investments that we're making. We're trying to do our little parts. But nobody wants to understand that part. I don't ask people for money. Is when you see the work that we're doing and you feel the need and you say, okay, that, we've seen what this person is doing and we want to support you. That's when we just get support and say, oh, please take this and, add to what you have and all of that. I work full time. And so the money that I get as salary is the part of the money. I use it as investment because I know what I want to, because I know the change I want to create in my environment, and because I want young people to be better. And that is why I put that investment. And so when people say that, okay, that people that are in development sector are just there for the gain, they are taking the glory, they are taking the money, and they are eating. Nobody's receiving any money. My friends, nobody's receiving any money. Do you get? So it leaves us sad, but at the same time, you know why you're doing this, and so all those things that just it goes through your ear, and it doesn't really bother me as long as the results and the impact is created. That is everything. So I think that's what I would just like to leave. People are just coming up in the development. Don't think about what people are saying, but be truthful. One thing that has kept equity, transparency, accountability. So if for any reason I've received, support from for any project that we're trying to implement, I try as much as possible to let them know this is the breakdown of what we've done with it. This is this. So because my integrity is very, very important. I think
Very
that's
important.
what has helped me to come out of, some of the pressure and everything.
Wow, wow, wow. Anybody that's going through your Instagram page, you all think everything is all glamour and glory.
Yeah, like,
Yeah. Yeah, so now talking about support, at the point in the interview, you mentioned that when you wanted to start, your mom, your parents were like, "Hey, why do you want to waste your time doing something
mhm.
um you won't get it paid for now?" But very sure now they're already supporting you. So at what point did it come in and like, "Oh, hey, look as well, our child is doing something that is nice. Let us give her all we can give it."
Okay, truthfully, when I started, like every parent, they were like, Rosemond, we paid for you to go to school, and we paid for you to finish school, and we want you to get a job that will pay you very well, that will give you all the money so that you'll be able to take care of us. That's the dream of every parent, and it's very valid. But um, I think when I started volunteering, they were like, Rosemond, this thing here is not free. See the importance of volunteering up to today, I still have to, reemphasize and tell them the reason why I'm doing this and the reason, you know, the 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 main reason behind it. I do that every single time. And now this is for me to reemphasize to them that I'm passionate about this. So, but I think over time, they began to see that, oh, okay, so is that my daughter? Is this my daughter that is receiving this call, that is doing this? So one time my dad listened to me on radio. I was talking about, okay, that was last year during the elections. I was talking about the role of young people and all of that. So my dad listened to me. When I came back, he was like, are you serious? So this my daughter can actually, my daughter can actually be talking about things like this. Do you get? And the other time he saw me on our local television, and he was like, I saw you on TV, and I'm like, well, it's me. But so I think over time they just started seeing that they needed to support me in every way possible. And I'm grateful for the kind of parents that I have, that whatever plans you have, I just come to them and tell them, oh, these are the plans that I have. Even when we had a project in Oyo, and I told them I was going to Oyo at the time, the road going from Lagos to Ibadan was not that. So they were like, how do you want to get there? If I want to tell you the story of all the discouragement that I've gotten, and how many times I've told myself that reason you won't be discouraged, because that's just the only encouragement you can give yourself. Because if you are in this for the glam, you will be discouraged. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
discouraged. Because once you enter and you realize that you're supposed to carry your sleeves up and get the work done, you would run away. So I think over time they decided to support me, and ever since then they have supported every way possible. When we had a conference in 2018, my mom was the cheerleader of that conference because she was the one trying to get young people. I've never seen that before. For someone that said volunteering wasn't it. I saw her, talking to her friends. She would tell her friends that, see, my daughter, she's a social, how do you, she's called me social entrepreneur. So, so, so she finds, she's happy talking to people about what her daughter is doing and all of that. So I think over time it worked like that. Then when we had the conference, the one here in Calabar, when she came for the conference as a guest, she just told me that she wants to say something, and she was like, you know how mothers can. I was in my mind. I was like, oh God, please no, my mom should tell me something. So, but anyway,
Dramatic.
yeah, she was really supportive. She was like, I'm so happy that my daughter was able to, you know, work with this wonderful thing and that made me happy that over time it took a long time for them to get to that point, and it's still getting there. It's not like it's a work in progress. So I think, yeah.
Well done for the work so far. Thanks for your support and your contribution to making youth grow. And okay, so and that's actually a nugget for you at home. Whatever you are doing, continue doing it. Don't worry, the support system is going to catch you up, and and they'll strengthen you. So now let's talk about FNA a little bit. What bettered it? What are you guys doing, and how has the impact been so far?
Okay, so for Foundational Network Africa, we all started in January 2018. That was when I started that initiative, and it was better from a point of view that I wanted young people to see the importance of community development and the role they can play as young persons. Sometimes everybody is waiting for the government to do something. And while we're waiting for the government, what can you do individually? What role can you play? And so that was the main drive, to push young people to get up and say, okay, what can we do in the area of education? How can we make it better? How can we, inspire the next generation of young people that are coming up? And that was how we started. So FNA Foundational Network is a network of young social impact leaders that are passionate about community development. And over time, we have gotten, we've tried to encourage young people. We've done programs in the area of capacity building. We've done programs in the area of trying to advocate in area of advocacy. We've done programs in the area of community development, going to grassroots, going to interior communities, and we've done programs, and all of this is geared towards developing young people. This is geared towards developing, and over time, I think we've grown. We're still growing. We're getting there, but our vision and our mission still remains that we're able to, inspire and educate the next generation of young persons. And just recently, okay, no, that was last year. We started, 2018. We started the advocacy for quality education, and we delved in more into SDG 4 and the role of young persons. So we saw that fine, there are a lot of people that are receiving education, but it's not quality enough because we're receiving a cake education, things that we've known, things that I knew that time is what students are actually receiving up till now. So there is no development, there is no innovation, nothing. And so we came up with innovative ways of creating that learning platform for young people that are still in school to have a feel of the future of work. And yeah, over time we've just been creating platforms like that, initiatives and projects that that would create that would reduce the divide that exists between the most marginalized and those that that have the opportunity. So yes, that's
Yeah,
what we've
thank you
been.
very much. Nice. Okay, so now we have 5 more minutes. We don't want to, take so much in your time. So let's talk about the
Okay.
future. So now, what do you want your legacy to be, ma'am?
My legacy. Well, I want to be. My legacy will just be around the angle of impact. What change am I creating? I constantly ask myself, what do you want to be remembered for? And I want to be remembered for that young lady that refused to say no, that refused to say no, but kept pushing other people to be who they're supposed to be. Because truthfully, I won't be where I am now. I won't be where I am at now if I did not have the support of my community members. When I say community members, if I didn't have support from my friends, if I didn't have support from my family, if I didn't have support from people that are external, I want to be that person that will serve as that push, for others. Because that, in time they would remember and say, oh, there was this one person that told me that irrespective of my past, irrespective of the things I've been through, irrespective of where I am now, I can still be something in future. And I want to be that voice for the voiceless. That is the most important thing for me. If people that are in the most vulnerable stage cannot speak for themselves, I want to be that voice that will speak for them. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thanks for being a voice. Thanks for still being a voice, and thanks for wanting
By
to
God's
still
grace.
continue voice. Thank you very much for
Yes,
sharing your story. Thanks for
thank you.
igniting passion, telling us to understand the fact that it's not about failure, it's about changing our mindset. That if we set our mind to do it, we can do it. It's nice having you around. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll actually allow Miss Rosemond to go now. I actually would have loved to take questions from the audience. Do you have some time for us? We should take some questions for them from them.
Okay, sure. If there are questions, I'm available to answer.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you like 2 minutes to see questions in the comment section. So please, if you have questions for Miss Rosemond, kindly drop them in the comment section. So if you don't get any question by 11:45 on dot, I'll actually love to allow her to go. Thank you very much for your time. I was Calabar over there during the whole pandemic period.
Yeah, it's fine. We don't have any case, so we're excited, but we're also staying safe. We're using our mask and we're social distancing. So
Okay.
yes.
Are you there outside movement?
Oh, I didn't get that.
Movement outside.
Okay. No, yeah, there's movement. We've actually the curfew. We have curfew for 8 o'clock every day, but there's all moving around. People are going to work and everything. So
Okay.
mm,
Okay. So
okay.
I'm trying to check if I saw one. Okay, seems as if there's no question. So thank you very
Okay.
much for coming around, Miss Rosemond.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Okay, so bye bye. Thanks for sharing your story with us. Oh,
All
sorry,
right.
sorry. Share the question before you go. What are your
Okay.
future plans considering the current situation in the world, and how will your work cause the change? Okay, that's nice. Looking at the pandemic around the world, what is your current situation in the world, and how will your work cause the change?
Okay. So currently, the pandemic has not stopped anything. So we're just readjusting now. We are readjusting to our projects and our programs. Before, our projects used to be one that you have to offline. So, but now we're trying to see how we can get more online projects that can also engage young people. So we're innovating, basically readjusting to the new normal, because now everything is virtual and we're trying to go virtual. So of my work, of course, my work is also changing. So because right now we're all working from home. So before now we go to the office, but right now we're working from home, except from next month that we're resuming working from. So yeah, we're just waiting as yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So it's 11:45 on dot. Thank you very much. As I keep saying, thanks for sharing your story. So this will actually be
Hey,
on our YouTube channel, so people can always check, read, and get energized. Thanks for coming around.
thank
It's a
you.
big appreciate it. So
All
goodbye, man. Thank you. Catch ya.
right,
See
take
ya.
care. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So everyone, thanks for joining us. That was Miss Rosemond EDEM, and it was a very nice section. So you can actually follow up our conversation with at the iOS show on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram. Definitely, I'm very sure when you're here, you're following us. Use the share button. Invite your friend. Next week is going to be very, very nice. We'll be having J. Mike Bamiloye on the section next week. So looking forward to see you guys around. Thank you very